Okay, just waiting for the live button to go and clear itself out, and then we'll be beginning our live stream session in just a few more seconds. Okay. It's now live. Welcome to my channel. Welcome everyone for another session with us, another live stream discussion where we will be talking about the latest pageant updates on Miss Universe Philippines, and Binibining Pilipinas. We will also be touching a little bit on Miss World Philippines a little bit later, so please do stick around. So, welcome to the channel. There's currently just a few of us in the live stream, so let's just wait for the rest to join in before we go full blast on our discussion for this evening, because there's a lot of things that we will be having to discuss and talk about. There are actually 4 in my agenda, and I would like everyone to please let's make this a very organized live stream discussion. So I would like everyone to please make sure that on the topics that we are discussing, make your comments, your questions, or your opinions be on that topic in itself, para hindi tayo talon ng talon between one topic to another. So we will have 4 topics that we will be discussing in this evening, 4 updates, 4 topics with multiple updates on each of those fronts. And I would like everyone to be mindful of the comment section so that mas streamlined yung live stream natin this evening. Let's stick to the topic at hand when it comes to our comments and our questions, so that mas smooth yung flow ng ating live stream this evening. And welcome dun sa mga kararating pa lang ng mga scripters natin. So welcome to our channel. We have, as I said earlier, 4 updates that we will be 4 topics that we will be discussing in this pageant pageant update episode, and then there's also an ongoing poll on our chat box section, where you can put in your thoughts on what is the thing that you're most excited for in this pageant season, especially now that we are starting, or we are beginning, the national pageant season starting this February. So on the poll, we have 3 options that you can choose from. Which are you most excited about? The first option is the Miss Universe Philippines pageant and the start of the pageant in itself. The second option is the candidates. You're more excited about the candidates of MUPH this year. And then the third option is the Miss Philippines and the Mr. Pilipinas worldwide announcement that's supposed to happen later, concurrently with the Miss Universe Philippines press presentation of candidates. So there you have 3 options there. Please let us know what you think. And for those who are new in our live stream or new in our channels, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel so that we can grow the community together here on YouTube. So we have Beyond the Scrubs on our chat box. Sabi niya, mag-team replay ako, 5:30 a.m. pa labas ko, LOL. Hello, Sir Jason. Hello, Beyond the Scrubs. It's okay if team replay ka ngayon. There's always, later naman, in case that you want to review, you want to check up on the updates, if it's not convenient for you to join our live stream today. Ben Hernandez is here. Sabi niya, good evening, Sir Jess. Watching live from Marikina. Well, we're here in Cubao, as usual, in our small apartment. And we are going to be tackling a little bit on 4 of the major pageants that are happening currently. So we have an update on Miss Universe, because they have a new organizational structure that they posted and publicized a little while ago, about within 2 days, the past 2 days. And we are going to be talking about what does that mean, because apparently in the new organizational structure, majority of the people who are going to run the Miss Universe organization are Latinos and are Asians. The next update is going to be about the Miss Universe Philippines and the start of their activities starting this Sunday, February 18, with their press presentation with the alleged 64 candidates that was mentioned in one of the sashing ceremonies, I believe. Then we have an update, a small, quite minor update on Miss World Philippines, as well as Gwen Fernio. And then the last but not the least, we have some news on the Binibining Pilipinas 60th anniversary, because they just announced this week that applications are now open. Okay, so let's begin first with the Miss Universe organization new structure. What does it mean? Ano yung mga changes that we've noticed in the leadership, and what are the things that we are expecting to we're expecting to see later on in the Miss Universe organization. So first things first is that, of course, we all know that Kun An is no longer the main owner of the Miss Universe organization, and now is the co-owner with Raul Rocha, of a Mexican businessman who is now named as the president and co-owner of the Miss Universe organization. Kun An remains to be the CEO of the Miss Universe organization as a whole. And let's break down what does it mean from a business sense. What does it mean in terms of how the organization is going to be run or possibly be run, and what are the changes that we expect to happen. So first things first, what's the difference again between a CEO and a president? I think I've discussed this before. I've already mentioned when Amy Emmerich was hired in, I believe, 2022 with regards to her position as Miss Universe CEO versus the role that Paula Shugart is gonna play as the president of the organization. So just like what the dynamic is with Paula Shugart and Amy Emmerich, this is the same thing with Kun An and Raul Rocha, because the CEO is in charge of the overall vision and direction, rather, of the entire Miss Universe organization. She is the one who's going to dictate what is the business ventures that they're going to be dealing with in the future, how the organization is going to be steered and managed towards which goal in which the organization is purposely heading towards to. And the CEO essentially is the one who handles, the steering of the ship when it comes to the direction of the entire organization. On the other hand, the president, who is Raul Rocha, is the one who is going to manage the day-to-day, running of the entire entire organization. So he's the one who's going to make sure that everything is within the timetables that they set. The budgets are within the limits that they have discussed. Financial goals are met under him, and he is the one who is going to be spearheading all communications within the organization and head up everything that needs to make sure that the entire ship functions properly. So in essence, the CEO is in charge of the vision, in charge of the goals, in charge of the direction that the organization is going to head towards to, while the president is the one who actively manages the day-to-day operations of the entire organization. So nothing goes to the CEO without having it go through the president first, and no major decision is created without the knowledge of the CEO and without the proper acknowledgement from the president as well. So this is going to be a dual partnership where each of the heads would have different areas of responsibilities. So with that being said, with that being clarified, there are other changes that we expect to be implemented over the next several weeks or several months. I understand that there are a lot of fans who are not happy with this development. There might be fans who are not very not very welcoming of the changes. However, this is not something that we should be surprised about, because this is something that happens in any organization. It just so happened that when IMG took over the entire organization, they didn't necessarily let go of everyone within the organization. Whenever there are acquisitions, it is very normal in the business world that the old organization running the leadership of the business is usually let go or given ample time to transition to a more streamlined organization as deemed by the new owners. And this is what happened in Miss Universe. I understand that there are still sour feelings between several former members of the organization, who have been very vocal on social media or on other platforms about their displeasure, and are dropping shady hints or shady mga posts. But this is expected because change is something that is in eventuality going to happen, whether we like it or not. It just so happened that we didn't see that kind of change during the IMG leadership. However, there were moves or countermeasures allegedly that was being set in place in order to make changes on the organization itself. So it just so happened that before those alleged changes are implemented or made, the Miss Universe organization has been sold to a new business owner. So now that we've cleared that up, what are the things that we see with regards to this change in leadership, and how will it impact the organization? So first and foremost, I think we have to focus on the positives first. Let's discuss first yung mga bagay na can be improved because of this new change, because of this change in leadership. So the first thing that I am hoping that would happen is that because of the more global in terms of ownership, it's no longer American centric. It's no longer American owned, 100% American owned na pageant. I am hoping that the Miss Universe becomes more global in terms of its, how do you say this? In terms of its outlook and in terms of its perspective when it comes to the pageant. And I know that this is going to be something that's going to be new for a lot of people, or something that is not easily welcome, because we have been very complacent, or we have been used to the fact that in Miss Universe there are certain countries that are typically the ones who would enter the semifinalists year in, year out. And with a global ownership and leadership at Miss Universe, we are hoping that the Miss Universe will now become a bit more global in its perspective, in selecting its winners, in selecting its set of judges, so that it is more palatable to a more global audiences. And what I mean about with this is that we are hoping that moving forward, Miss Universe becomes more open to having more diverse set of judges, and open to probably having at least one judge per continent, one judge that is diverse in race, ethnicity, and in political affiliation, in social political outlook, and have someone who is worldly, and someone who is knowable in the fashion industry, in the entertainment industry, and not just be, limited. I think that's the word. Not just be limited on influencers or people that are based in the United States. I am hoping that Miss Universe becomes more global in its perspective, in the way that they select its set of judges, so that the more diverse set of judges would eventually result with a more diverse set of semifinalists, and in the future, hopefully, a more diverse set of winners. Because as I've seen and I have reviewed the Miss Universe during the IMG period, despite having a diverse set of winners during their years, I think that a lot of their winners are really very focused towards selecting winners that are American centric in its audience. They tend to look at winners, or look for winners rather, that appeals to the American audience. And I think that with a global ownership, a more global ownership in the pageant, we would see a more global outlook in selecting a winner, and not just select a winner that caters to the specific American market. And I think that is something that can be successfully implemented by Kun An and Raul Rocha, because we want diversity, and we want diversity that is not forced or thrust into our faces and down our throats. We want diversity that is organic in nature, that doesn't feel like it's put on, or not very performative when you look at it from different perspectives and different angles. I think that is something that this new organization can really embrace and put forth for a global audience, that is the Miss Universe. Now, another thing that I think that can be a growth factor, or rather a growth area for the Miss Universe organization, is to have a more global set of people working with the organization. And currently, as I look at the as I look at the new organization, I see that mainly a lot of the vice president that was announced in the social media of Kun An and the Miss Universe organization, a lot of the heads are actually on the Latino side. And some of them are based in Miami, some of them are Nicaraguans. There's a Guatemalan, I believe, the vice president. And then there are also, thankfully, 3 Filipinos in the organization. And that is Olivia Cuido, and Casey and Cindy Villa. Wait, tama ba? Villaverde. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned their names correctly. Apparently, Casey and Cindy are a couple who is now working with the Miss Universe organization. And what I am hoping to see is that, aside from Kun An, who is of course Thai, and her I believe her sister, who is also like the executive assistant to Kun An, I do hope that there's a more diverse set of people in the organization, that they would invite maybe a European and an African into the organization to really explode this into a more global management structure. That way, we see more diversity, not only in the semifinalists, but also in the leadership as well, which I think is one of the things that was a what's the better word aside from missed opportunity. That was a lacking on the IMG era of the Miss Universe organization, because all you see are Americans running the organization. If you want to have a global brand like the Miss Universe is supposed to be, then you should have global management. And global management. I think that's the wrong term. A global set, a diverse set coming from different parts of the world in the management table of the organization. Okay, so there. I think also this is something that can be, that can be done gradually. But I am glad that right now, there's a Colombian, there's a couple of Guatemalans, a couple of Nicaraguans. Karen Celeberti, who is the former national director of Miss Universe Nicaragua, has now been absorbed alongside her daughter into the organization. There's also a Guatemalan, there's also several Mexicans and several Latinos who are based in Miami in the organization. And if I'm not mistaken, one of those people or one of those managers that is added into the organization has ties with NBC Universal, Univision. So that would be a great, opportunity for future Miss Universe winners, because it would allow, connections like this would allow them to be participative in a number of, what do you call this, television appearances that can happen in the future. So what are the things that I think might be, a downside in this organization? Of course, because there are now two co-owners who have vastly two different jobs and responsibilities. I think there is this, fear that baka mag-clash yung personalities of those two heads. Of course, we cannot discount the fact that people have different personalities, different management styles, and this might be applicable to Raul Rocha and Kun An themselves. However, if you have two people who are mature and are very business savvy, then I think the partnership can go either smoothly or go terribly wrong. Because if you have two persons who have very strong personalities and they are in the opposite sides of the personality spectrum, one that does not complement each other in terms of their management style, then we might have a problem. I am hoping that this is not the case. I am hoping that we will not have another Paula Sugar and Kun An scenario where they have vastly different management styles and leadership styles. And we're hoping that Raul Rocha and Kun An would have a more symbiotic and a more pleasant working relationship with each other. I think the Miss Universe needs to be very, needs to be very self-aware at this moment of the things that had gone wrong in the past, so that any mistakes that might have dampened the growth of the brand, the growth of the pageant, is addressed as early as now. Because during the IMG era of Paula Sugar as president of the Miss Universe organization, it is not a hidden secret that the financial part of the organization, of managing the organization, has not been, as smooth sailing as we thought it should be, especially during the global pandemic, especially during the COVID-19 period that literally stopped everything in terms of live entertainment. Now, let's now look at what are the things that we can we're hoping, we're hoping not to be repeated in this new era, in this new management of the Miss Universe organization. Of course, we hope that in fightings, any issues within the organization should be dealt within the organization. There's no need to, air your dirty laundry in public, and forget that there are things that is best addressed within the organization if outside influence is not needed, or it's not helpful, it's not necessary, or it's not helpful to address the problem. I think that in terms of finesse of handling these internal struggles needs to be ironed out in such a way that there's no damage control that needs to be done after things are aired out on public. I think this is an area that can definitely be a growth area for the new Miss Universe organization, especially now that you have a team of competent people handling the organization. Hopefully, they can show these competencies in managing the organization without having to blast it out on social media. The second thing that I am hoping that would not happen anymore in the Miss Universe organization is actually, a very simple thing. I am hoping that there would not be a monopoly in terms of, spots on the semifinalists, because I believe that every girl who's participating and joining Miss Universe would want to be treated equally and be given equal opportunity or equal shot at the title. And I do hope that people will, or rather the people within the organization would address, the notion that Miss Universe is only about the Latins and the Asians, and that largely, a huge part of the African and the European contingencies are neglected or not given enough spotlight on. And I think, having a more global management, or a global a global set of judges and selection committee, a more international set of people who is going to review, who's going to make it in the semis of Miss Universe, would be the solution to all of this problem. Because I think that in the past several years, there's a lot of Europeans and especially Africans that I felt that could have make it or should have make it in the top 5 or even top 3 of the Miss Universe organization, but they are not well represented in the judging table. That's why we miss them making it into the in the top 5 or even top 3 of the Miss Universe organization, Miss Universe pageant. So I do hope that these two will be addressed and these two will be solved with the new leadership at Miss Universe. Okay? Now, let's go muna doon sa ating mga comments, and let's take a look at our poll kung sino ngayon yung leading. In terms of your votes, it seems to be that most of you are excited with the Miss Universe Philippines candidates and the pageant itself, having 46% each of the votes. Only 8% of you are excited with the Miss Philippines and Mr. Pilipinas Worldwide announcement happening concurrently with the press presentation of the MUPH 2024 candidates tomorrow night, Sunday, February 18. Okay, let's now look at the comment section. Okay, Sabi ni Kiisa, I am looking forward to Binibining Pilipinas 60th anniversary. We're looking forward to that as well. Loyal Fan 99 says, will be more diversity equal to profits though. Okay, I think that if you have enough people well represented in your set of semifinalists and eventually in your set of winners, I think that would mean more interest on markets that are underserved. And if there are more Africans who makes it into the top 10 or in the top 5 of the competition, there are like more than 30 or 50 African countries in Africa. So imagine if you get, let's say, around 25 or even 20 African countries participating at Miss Universe. And in terms of their franchise fees, you get that into consideration. So if there's more African countries, more European countries participating at Miss Universe, then of course that would allude to higher profits from the national director, franchise partnerships. So I think it will affect the profits, of course, of the Miss Universe organization. More revenue for them if there are more what do you call this? If there are more countries participating, especially in African countries, because right now I believe that it's Miss World who has the biggest chunk of the market in terms of participation among African countries. Okay. Okay, Loyal Fan continues with another question, another comment here saying, because I don't know if it came to choosing between looking diverse versus making money, I think they will always choose the latter. So yes, definitely, but there are possibilities or there are opportunities where you can choose both be diverse and at the same time what do you call this be profitable, especially if you are opening up your market into the underserved or untapped market for the Miss Universe brand. And I think if you're going to be honest, the Miss Universe is strong in Asia and Latin America, but it's not necessarily strong among African countries, because Africa, as I mentioned earlier, seems to be the baluarte of the Miss World or Miss World pageant, while Europeans, I believe, sends their stronger candidates, stronger delegates to Miss Earth. So I think that is something that the Miss Universe organization can look upon definitely in terms of their markets. Okay, Nat Manipal says, good evening, Sir Jason. Mas excited po ako sa Binibining Pilipinas. Wala po sa choices. And then laughing emoji there. I didn't put the Binibining Pilipinas organization and their announcement in the set of choices because they just started their applications, and I am sure because of the leak na post ni Daisy Reyes na medyo malayo-layo pa ang Binibining Pilipinas. So I think it's better that we focus muna our energies on the pageant that's currently having its start of their season. Okay. The beauty critic says, beautiful you are, Jason. Thank you. I'm looking forward to new gems in the 60th Binibining Pilipinas. Excited too for the parade. Freshness is loveliest. I am also looking forward to that, especially if it's going to be on the months of July, because the what do you call this? The climate is a little bit colder at around that month, and it's not as hot as, let's say, April or May, where it is technically some of the hottest months in the entire year. I think April is going to be a very hot month, especially here in the Philippines. Okay, Papa Turon says, hello sir, do you think it is possible that Binibining Pilipinas is gearing up for its grand finale? If not, perhaps they would just finish their international franchise contracts and then end with a bang. I am not sure with, what do you call this, with the grand finale. But definitely, I think they have something in store because for the past several weeks, I've been seeing some hints, seeing some, small drops of hints here and there among former Binibining Pilipinas winners. And I am thinking na baka they have something grand in mind. So, mamaya natin pag-uusapan kung ano yung mga naririnig ko with regards to Binibining Pilipinas. We will be talking about that later on. Okay, now let's talk about Miss Universe Philippines because the press presentation is going to be on February 18th, tomorrow evening. At allegedly, there are going to be 64 candidates and appointed representatives from on this year's batch. Okay, so if that is the case, then that is well and good. I think natunugan nila yung rumor earlier that there's going to be 60 candidates for the 60th anniversary edition of the Binibining Pilipinas pageant, and they just probably went head to head with that. But either way, regardless of that, the number of candidates in Miss Universe Philippines reflect that they have numerous accredited partners across the Philippines now, and that I am excited with the level of candidates that I have been seeing in the past several weeks. I don't want to preempt first by creating a list because right now I think it's still too early with to give out my personal list because I haven't seen all of the candidates side by side together. I haven't seen a lot of their interviews, or I haven't seen them perform on stage and seen them in candids or in videos. Because there are instances where I have seen, a number of candidates in their glam shots. And I'm kind of a little bit disappointed because some glam shots are really, really good. But when I see some of the candidates in their candids, I'm kind of disappointed that it doesn't match the glam shots that I've seen. So in order for me, to be very fair in my assessments of the girls, I would want to see them first after reviewing, videos and photos of the press presentation that's going to happen tomorrow. And I do hope that a lot of the candidates would actually step up in that sense, because I am not quite sure, or I'm not quite convinced with the candidates of some of the candidates that I saw, and these are candidates who are quite popular. So not quite popular. They are some of the candidates that has been going around in terms of their, what do you call this? In terms of being posted on social media. So I don't want to preempt and create a list only for it to be, disproved or disappointed with the actual, performances during the press presentation later on. So there. Also, I also want to make sure that if I'm going to look at the candidates, it will be much better to compare them side by side, during the press presentation, so that I can really gauge who really gets my attention, as well as who I think has the better body proportions, the kind of girl that we want to get to know better in the competition later on. So I am giving everybody equal chances, because if there are going to be like 64 girls that needs to be given a second glance at, I wanted to make sure that I see them all complete as a batch. So there. Now, there was an earlier acknowledgement, or rather an earlier announcement that everyone is welcome for accreditation for the Miss Universe Philippines pageant this year. This is an open invite to everybody, allegedly. And I've seen the video, and indeed they are trying to extend their arms to every pageant vlogger and content creator out there. Now, you might be asking, because if you've watched, one of the lives ni Tita during Tita Lavinia during the MUPH Pasig sashing ceremony, and she asked me in that live if, Sir Jason, meron ka bang balak na magpa-accredit with MUPH, and I said no. And that's because based on experience, there are actually two reasons. One is that based on experience, I wanted, to I want to test the waters first before, saying yes or no with the, with this accreditation. Because based on personal experiences in the past with some of the people within the organization, I don't think that it's going to be a harmonious relationship if ever that I apply for accreditation, because I don't think that the organization have earned, the type of respect that I have for an organization like the Binibining Pilipinas Charities Incorporated. And I want to see whether or not, they are an organization that can take criticism well, whether or not the criticism comes from an accredited partner or not. Because if at this point in time they are not yet, mature enough to handle criticism, especially on the way that they do their finals, in terms of their staging, in terms of their mistakes, in terms of optics, in terms of their selection of judges, then I think I'd rather cover it without accreditation, because I think I can do a much better job when I am not being held by the neck by an organization who is nitpicky when it comes to what they want to be said about their organization. So on my end, I can do a coverage on my own without an accreditation. And there's a kind of freedom where an organization trusts you to say something, whether it's criticism or it's praise. And I have that with Binibining Pilipinas. And they are very open when it comes to my write-ups, whether it's criticizing their finals or their their way of running the pageant. They are open when there's something that needs to be said about how to improve, and I don't see that yet with this organization. And granted that they're just been in the industry for like 5 years in terms of franchise, handling a franchise of an international pageant. I do hope that in the future, they learn how to handle these criticisms and handle these very, very delicate situations. Kasi ang kailangan mo dito is you allow the bloggers and the vloggers and content creators, to do their job without meddling too much. Okay? So, in terms of accreditation, no, I will not be going to apply for an accreditation for this organization. I think I'd rather just buy tickets for their finals if it doesn't coincide, with, it doesn't clash with my schedule. And I do hope that they are able to give a fair and equitable, or is equitable the right word? A fair, honest, and equal playing field for the candidates that they have, because I think their candidates this year is a huge step up in terms of the quality of the girls competing. So, yun. Ang hinihingi ko lang is yung maging patas ang laban. And if they give me that in this year's competition, I think mas maganda overall, not only for the not only for the organization, but for the Filipino pageant fandom. Okay? And I think asking for equality and fair play for any pageant, whether it's Binibining Pilipinas, Miss Universe Philippines, Miss World Philippines, Miss Philippines Earth, when we ask for fair play, transparency, I think that's something that should be a standard for all pageants, regardless of whether or not we support them or we don't. Okay, so I don't think it is a difficult thing to ask any organization, young or old organization, in terms of ano yung pwede nating hingin sa kanila. Okay? So, going back to our mga comment section, let's see kung nasaan na tayo. Okay, we ended up with Papa Turon. So, Loyal Fan 99. Okay, Sir Jason, what place or role or relevance do you think pageants have in this post-pandemic world where everyone is tightening their belts? That's exactly what I am a bit having a difficulty on, Loyal Fan. Kasi sa ngayon, one of the things that I wanted to create content on is yung pageant system ng franchisee, local franchisee within the Philippines, much like Miss USA, where there are state directors. Kasi on my end, I think that it adds an extra burden on the pageant girl to have to spend twice for a local pageant before going to the nationals. So it might be a burden financially on the pageant girl to have to shoulder, their competition expenses twice within a year. And this is not something that I am easily convinced na it would be good for the pageant girls long term. But I do recognize that it is a system that has pros and cons, especially that everyone is like tightening their belts nowadays. However, because if I'm not mistaken, 2026 is going to be a election year. So the years prior to that, maglalabas ng pera ang mga tao. It's an observation that I've noticed for the past, 10, 15 years, na every time na there's an election, people are much more open to spending, a couple of years prior, and then mag-belt tightening ulit after the elections. So, I am hoping, na this is just an isolated case, but sana moving forward, magawan ko muna ng research yung topic na ito, because I wanted to lay out the pros and cons of having a system similar to the Miss USA pageant system versus having a national casting, and then have all candidates willingly apply for, the national applications, much like Binibining Pilipinas. So I'm gonna weigh in muna, get more feedback on the ground, especially on the girls, kung ano yung masasabi nila in that sense. Okay? Key Isa says, I'm looking forward non-traditional candidates of MUPH, what they can show to us and how they can change the minds of the traditional pageant watchers. Jerbal says, Binibining Pilipinas is a dying pageant. High-caliber girls are joining MUPH. Parang latak, tira-tira na lang ang sumasali sa Binibining Pilipinas. Not a nice comment, but this is my observation. I think it's the other way around, that it's the Binibining Pilipinas alums joining Miss Universe Philippines that is making noise for Miss Universe Philippines. Okay? But I do agree though, Jerbal, that Binibining Pilipinas should be more aggressive in getting franchise not to resuscitate the Binibining Pilipinas brand, because the Binibining Pilipinas brand, I think, is as strong as it was, because it is still, the most prestigious national competition here in the Philippines. Okay, I don't necessarily agree what you said here, that Miss World is perfect, because I don't think that the partnership with Binibining Pilipinas yielded so much fruit. What I think is the perfect partner is Miss World with Cory Carino. Sadly, that's not possible anymore. And I don't agree with what you said, that Sir Arnold Vergafria is so incompetent. I don't agree with that statement. I do agree, however, that there is a level of, a level of carelessness on his part, because the next topic that I'm going to be discussing is the Miss World Philippines, and the number of franchise that they've let go or that was taken away from them over the past couple of years. So I don't think it's incompetence that is the problem here, but rather I don't believe that Sir Arnold was very careful in managing and handling this brands or this international pageant franchises, because nasusulutan siya parati ng mga franchise na ito, or these franchise partners, international competitions, are seeking out other partners while still under Sir ALV. So okay, I understand that currently wala na sa kanila ang Miss Eco and Miss Eco team, and the year prior they lost the Miss Supranational and Mr. Supranational franchises. I think that is a very huge, malaking dagok with Miss World Philippines, because they used to have, very strong franchise brands or pageant franchises under their competition. So it makes sense that they are now taking over the Universal Woman franchise, and they are, from what I've heard, rumors are they are still actively seeking new partnerships. So that is, that's good to hear. They still have Reina Hispano-Americana, the Miss Grand International, and Miss World. So with 4 franchises, I believe, I think they can still survive. They will be able to survive as long as they keep the Miss World Philippines brand under them. Kebs na sa MGI, but I think ALV should now, learn na bakuran yung mga franchise that he owns, because it's not helping that unti-unti siyang nalalagasan. And unlike Binibining Pilipinas, Binibining Pilipinas is a heritage brand. Binibining Pilipinas has, weathered having only 2 franchise pageants in their competition. They started off with actually just one way back in 1964, and then in around 1968 or 1969, they acquired, no, 1968, I believe, they acquired Miss International. So for me, I think the difference between MWP and Binibining Pilipinas is that Binibining Pilipinas have established itself longer, and therefore there is more brand recall, there's more brand trust with BPCI as compared to Miss World Philippines, which is a fairly new organization. I think that in order for them to really, cement themselves as a national pageant here in the Philippines, is to really explode and focus all their energies on the Miss World brand, at magpanalo sila ng isa pang Miss World. If it happens that Gwen Furnio manages a top three placement at Miss World this year, I think that will serve, that will serve that will be a good thing for the Miss World brand here in the Philippines. Because right now, Miss World is a dying brand because of the postponements on the last 4 or 5 years that happened because of the pandemic, and of course because of situations probably not under their control. But I do hope that they are able to really recover this year, especially that they don't have any other competitions during the February-March na timetable. Much like how Supranational is very much comfortable with their July, August, I believe, na pageants schedules. I think they should stick with that schedule for Mr. and Miss Supranational, while Miss World can really establish itself away from other international pageants by having its competition done during February, March of every year. Syempre, ayaw mong sumabay sila sa Miss World or sa Miss Universe rather, because between Miss World and Miss Universe, fans would necessarily navigate towards Miss World. So I think if Miss World really needs to cement itself and establish a date like the months of February and March, that will do them good. Okay. Now, with regards to Miss World Philippines, I just wanted to point out yung fact that they really need na pangalagaan yung Miss World Philippines na brand, because if you haven't noticed, walang official na send-off kay Gwen before she left earlier today to India. And I do hope na it will not bite them in the ass, especially that kailangan ni Gwen ng mas maraming suporta ngayon, because not a lot of people here in the Philippines is very supportive of the Miss World competition. So I think Gwen is in a unique place where, in terms of her resume, wala kang maipintas. In terms of preparation, she did her work, she did her job well, especially on her BWAP. But I do hope na this time around, Gwen will be able to achieve what her other predecessors were not able to, and that is to achieve at least a top 3 or even a top 5 placement at Miss World. Kasi I think malaking boost on the Miss World Philippines brand if she wins, second princess, first princess, or even Miss World itself, in order for ALV to protect his pageant, his ALV pageant circle here in the Philippines. And I think magandang ang magandang gawin dito is to give them our support, give her our support, give Gwen our full support as she faces the competition, dahil hindi magiging madali yung competition niya, because there will be 100 girls vying for the Miss World crown. So there. Now, I think let's take a look at our poll itself. I've asked earlier, what are you most excited for this national pageant season? And 45% of you is saying na yung MUPH pageant, start ng pageant itself, ang tawag ito, ang kayo excited. Okay? Excuse me. And then, 43% says that you're excited with the Miss Universe Philippines candidates and the quality ng mga kandidato this year, while a very small na 11% lang yung excited doon sa announcement ng the Miss Philippines at saka ng Mr. Pilipinas Worldwide na announcement. Okay, give me a moment and then let's go back to our comment section before we go doon sa ating mga updates on Binibining Pilipinas. Nasaan na ba tayo nag-end? Nasaan na ba? Okay, we ended up with Jerbol, so we are now with Papa Turon. Sabi niya, Miss Globe and Miss International both announced that they will have 3 more years with Binibining Pilipinas, so BBP can actually now renew after 3 years and just end without any international franchise na. If they're going to, to stop the pageant itself, then that is something that that's on their that's their decision. But I don't think na mangyayari yon because currently I think there's still people who are loyal with Binibining Pilipinas. There's still pageant girls who are willing to join Binibining Pilipinas. Okay? Kasi my take here is that Binibining Pilipinas, if you want, to establish your fan base, that is the safest pageant to join in first before moving on to other national pageants. Just take a look at Yana Aduana na she started with Miss Philippines Earth. She did not get the exposure and the fandom in Miss Philippines Earth initially. Lumipat siya ng Binibining Pilipinas. Suddenly, she blew up. People started to notice her, to know her into the competition. And then, after ng stint niya with Binibining Pilipinas, when she went for Miss Philippines Earth, boom, winner ka agad, and then first runner-up sa international na competition in Vietnam. So, Binibining Pilipinas has that, special sauce that any girl who comes into their system, whether it's a candidate or it's a winner, if they choose to join other other pageants, tumataas yung premium nila. And this is something that we've seen with Leren, who started with Mutya, crossed over to Binibini, and then went to Miss Universe Philippines. And the same thing that we can see with several girls in the competition, like Atisa, like Christine Matgari, etc. Okay, continuing with Papa Turon. So it's safe to tell na BBP X Miss World comeback is malabo this edition. Of course, I think that's going to be a difficult thing to push because I don't think na hinahabol ng Binibining Pilipinas yung mga pageants na umalis sa kanila. Okay? Nasaan na ba tayo? Okay. Jerbol. Okay, sabi ni Jerbol, the send-off of Gwen is lukewarm with little social media noise, which is an indicator of the incompetence of ALD and his team. Let's agree to disagree doon sa word the incompetence. JB Sarmiento says, Hi Sir Jason, magandang gabi. honestly, pinaka-excited po ako sa Binibining Pilipinas because it's their diamond year. Any chichis, sir, sa upcoming edition? Okay, sige, let's go over muna doon sa Binibining Pilipinas 60th anniversary. So they still have, they recently announced the applications are open, and they're opening up their applications until the 22nd of March this year, which means that this is a departure from their previous schedules where they are, what do you call this? They are having their applications earlier. Dati-rate, December pa lang, nag-start na ang applications ng Binibining Pilipinas. That is not the case this year because this year, applications open at February, which is a huge departure, again, as I said, from the traditional December or end December, late December announcement of applications, which means that most likely the finals, the grand coronation of the Binibining Pilipinas pageant is going to be later this year, which I agree upon, and I will explain to you a little bit later why. Okay, so on muna doon sa mga updates. So they started the applications, and then people are asking me on social media, how come, sir, there is no mention of the age requirements for Binibining Pilipinas this year? That is, I think, something that needs to be clarified by Binibining Pilipinas when ladies apply, because when I ask someone from the Araneta group of companies, they said that unofficially, okay, this is not an official word from them. Unofficially, they mentioned that they are going to stick with the age requirements of the international competitions that they have. So, which means that because they still have the Miss Globe pageant and Miss International, they're still allowing candidates to be able to be eligible for Miss International, applicants that are within the age limits of Miss International, which is, I believe, still around 28 years old this year. The thing is, you have to remember that you need to add 1 year because they will be competing next year. So if you are aiming for the Miss International crown, you should be at least 28 years old by the Miss International competition next year. Okay, so that clears it up. Also, with the Miss Globe, I think their age limit is around 30 years old. So I think that has a bit more leeway in terms of in terms of the age requirement. So I think to make it sure, applicants would rather need to clarify this in their applications when they submit their applications at the Binibining Pilipinas offices, because what I've mentioned with you are not official. Okay, this is just a clarification that I ask, and it is much better that you make the clarification so that hindi tayo magkamali. Okay, and then as I've said, March 22 ang deadline ng applications. And unfortunately, or rather fortunately, Daisy Reyes, Binibining Pilipinas World 1996? Yeah, I think 1996. 1996, kasi 1997 si Christine Florendo. Okay, so tama, Binibining Pilipinas World 1996. I think made it public in a social media post. I'm not sure if it's in Twitter or in Facebook that the finals is going to be on July 7th of this year, which for me is kind of kind of ironic, or rather kind of funny, because knowing Binibining Pilipinas, they can easily move their what do you call this, their finals na dates. So yung July 7 na yan, pwedeng mapaaga. It can move earlier to June, or it can move later in July, or even do it in around August. On my end, I think, because the months of June, July, and August is a little bit more quiet in terms of national and international competitions, I think that they should make their pageant closer towards June, July. Oh, sorry. Make it July and August, because that would be a precursor for them, because they don't have a lot of international franchises, and their main franchise is going to be like crown her this year, compete next year. So I think it will also spread out, content creators to be able to focus with Binibining Pilipinas as the only national competition during that month. So I believe that in terms of having their own slice of the cake and the audience, it makes sense that they put their national pageant at around July, because they have their own venue. They own their own venue. Okay, so it's easier for them to move around their dates, more flexible. They're more flexible as compared to other national pageants. So with that being said, I think Binibining Pilipinas is a much better place when it is around June or July. Although for me, I think July would be the perfect month for them, because it's not too hot, it's not too cold, and usually, around that time, there's less crowded space in terms of international and national competitions. If the supranational brand sticks to their, it sticks to their timetable at around the month of August, I think that would be perfect for them, so that July can be perfect for Binibining Pilipinas, para solo nila yung buong buwan na yon, solo nila yung attention. And that also does not give too much away against other national pageants like Miss Philippines Earth and Miss Universe Philippines to have their pageants in the months of April and May. So that would be, I think, for me, the best month for Binibining Pilipinas to, stage their national pageant. Okay? So, sabi ni Papa Turon, hoping Binibining Pilipinas could get Miss Cosmo International and Miss Global. I hope na they can add more titles in their roster. I am sure bongga yung Binibining Pilipinas 60th anniversary this year, because again, as I've said, if it's true that they spent 8 million pesos for their Binibining Pilipinas 2023 edition, for that pageant that happened for a span of like 2 months, 3 months, I am sure that they're going to be more all out in this year's competition. I am sure that they have bigger budgets this coming 60th anniversary, because the things that I've been hearing about larger prices, I've been hearing also, rumors that there's a alleged new sponsor coming in. I'm not gonna say what kind of sponsor they are. Hintayin ko muna na unti-unting sumulpot itong mga to, because I don't want to preempt it. But I am expecting a bigger pageant for Binibining Pilipinas this year, dahil, as you all know, Binibining Pilipinas is like a big brand. it's not relying on one income stream alone, because it is supported by the Araneta group of companies as a whole. So there, I think overall, the tawag ito, the expectations, are high for tawag ito, the expectations are high this year because it's their 60th anniversary. And with all of these, with all of these with all of these mga, what do you call this, with all of these mga mga plans that I've been hearing that I cannot yet confirm at this point, kinakailangan na maghintay-hintay muna tayo ng mga ng mga updates na mangyayari. Okay? Okay, wait lang. I'm having difficulty with my okay, where were we? Oh shoot, I think what's going on with my mouse? It's clicking the wrong thing. Okay, okay, let's go back to the comment section. Okay, it's okay. Okay, Will Garcia, sabi niya, "Hi Sir Jason, pa-shout out. Just came home from February fair here sa UP Los Baños." Okay, that's good. Sa UP naman kasalukuyan yung or rather nag-end na, I think this Friday yung UP fair. So nice na it's good to see na na meron din pala kayong February fair diyan sa Los Baños. How was it? I hope you enjoyed. Okay, where were we? Sorry about this. My mouse is acting up. Hindi ko hindi ko yung aking hindi ko ma-control yung labas ng mga comment sections. Okay, Kiisa, sabi niya, "I miss the big four in BBP. How I wish they would bring back the old days." I think malabo nang mangyari yun. Because the organizations were handling, the international na mga franchises have already, partnered with other local na mga partners. So, asking that might be a stretch na mangyari. But, here's to wishful thinking, sorry. Papa Turen says, "I think BBP just needs to have a new leadership habang andyan pa si Madam SMA. That would be nice." I hope that there's more dynamic leadership for Binibining Pilipinas in the future. Kasi I think they need new blood to keep, the excitement up. John Snow says, "Binibining Pilipinas is Binibining Pilipinas. Kahit wala pang international pageant na salihan ng winner ng Binibining Pilipinas, wala silang pake dahil iba pa din ang matawag na isa kang binibini. Tapos, lakihan pa ang prizes, kabog." So, they've done that. They've done that last year. In the previous years kasi 120,000 lang ang alam kong prizes ng mga winners, or 150,000 pesos yung kanilang prizes, and last year tumatangginting na kalahating milyon yung kanilang prizes. So I am hoping na sana this year 1 million naman yung ibigay nila sa winners nila, and I do hope that the what do you call this, the pageant will be bigger and grander, because they have more than enough time to really make this big, make this a huge celebration. Dahil minsan-minsan lang at hindi kadalasan ng mga pageants umaabot ng 60 years in existence. There have been a lot of pageants and pageant systems all over the world, but no other national pageants have achieved as huge as a following and huge legacy as the likes of, let's say, tawag ito, Miss France, Binibining Pilipinas, Señorita Colombia, and Miss Venezuela. So I think it's very exciting na malaman kung ano yung mga developments later on ng Binibining Pilipinas. Okay? Nasa na ba tayo? Will Garcia says, as much as I'm excited with the likes of Alexi, Atisa, Victoria Velasquez Vincent, and Christy, sana mabigyan naman ng pansin ang mga newbies. Which is good because I think maraming mga newbies sa MUPH this year ang may tawag ito, what to say this, may potential. Christina Choc of the UK, yung candidate from NorCal, and there are several others. I think si Lorraine Ojimba of Quezon City is another girl to watch out for. Of course, the likes of the returnees and the crossovers from Binibining Pilipinas, like Christy, like Stephanie, Atisa, aabangan pa rin natin naman sila. Okay, Dansam SNJH says, if the prize is big as 2 million, girls would die to participate. Actually, totoo. Kahit nga 1 million lang basta cash, or kahit hindi cash, basta tax-free, dudumog yan ng mga girls. Sabi ni Will, okay naman ang February Fair here sa UPLB. Last day na today, kaya dagsa ang tao, baha ng shawarma, iced coffee, milk tea, and mga rides. Yung UP Fair naman, sa Sunken Garden dito sa UP Diliman, has been quite successful. There were rides, maraming mga tenants ngayon. Hindi nga lang ako nakapag-participate because my schedule is kind of weird this semester. We started our semester just earlier this month, and I kind of miss yung early morning classes ko because right now my classes extend up until 5:30 in the evening. So medyo nakakamiss yung early morning dahil malamig pang panahon. But then again, it allows you to sleep over the mornings, and you can still make habol at around lunchtime for your class. So I wouldn't necessarily complain. Kiisa says, I think it's more of the prestige of being called Binibini, being part of the roster every year. As they say, once a Binibini, always a Binibini. I agree. And again, as I said, there is such a wonderful phenomena in Binibini that tumatatak ka kaagad. Mabilis kang tumatak sa isipan ng mga fans if you started your journey with Binibining Pilipinas, because ang lakas niyang maka-premium ng ng following. Ang lakas niyang makataas ng following, maka-boost ng recall as a pageant girl. Okay? Saldi Salen, nawala yung yung message mo. Anyway, Will Garcia, sabi niya, of course, nandiyan ang mga bans and speeches ng mga aktivista sa Feb Fair sa UPLB. I guess, di na talaga mawawala yan sa UP system. I think the mere fact that you're in UP says that you should be open with people who are, very vocal about their opinions, their political opinions. So, I think sanayan lang din yan. Where were we? Sabi ni Papa Turon, di lang pageants, Jason, pati any companies, it's hard to reach even 50. Yes, there's actually a study that less than 50% of companies gets to survive after the first or second generation. So I kind of agree when it comes to the longevity of the pageant. Iba talaga pag umabot ka na ng 50 plus or 60 plus na taon. Dansam says, the true big four are Miss France, Binibining Pilipinas, Señorita Colombia, and Miss Venezuela. Among the national pageants, I kind of agree because for me, the prestige of the Miss USA brand has dimmed significantly ever since that it was passed on to Crystal Stewart and Layla Rose, who is the current national director for the Miss USA pageant, has her work cut out for her. And lately, there is this episode by Danny Walker na she was blocked by the Miss USA and the Miss Teen USA Instagram accounts. And I just find it funny because I think nowadays, brands are, or rather, pageant accounts are not afraid to limit the presence of certain people on their feeds. So, ayun. Loyal Fan 99, what do you think Sir Jason Binibining Pilipinas specifically needs? Social media coverage or more mainstream media coverage? I think right now, Binibining Pilipinas needs more dynamic and young leadership, new ideas in running the pageant, something that is akin to what Miss Venezuela has done, specifically during the past several years, because yung win ni Mariam Velasco and now Andrea Rubio can be allotted to the fact that Nina Cecilia is a very hands-on national director when it comes to the Miss International na franchise. Specifically because Nina Cecilia is the first Venezuelan to win Miss International, and I think that is something that the likes of Lara Kigaman can do for Binibining Pilipinas. So I do hope na na mas visible si Lara in the next several months for the 60th anniversary of Binibining Pilipinas, because I think we need that kind of connection with the MI org. And in general din naman kasi kinakailangan they are starting to to hand over the reins to a younger generation, dahil hindi na rin naman hindi naman ganun ka-visible na si SMA. So I think they need people with new ideas to inculcate into the program para mas bongga siya, di ba? Nasa na Papa Turon, pros and cons na ng management behind ng Binibining Pilipinas pageant ay Araneta Inc. uniform na hence shared team, di siya as prioritized and focused ng MUPH org, however mas stable. BBP, once a Bini, always a Binibini. MUP, meron na din, only MUPH. James Yap said, excited with the entry of Kyla Carter into the already large pool of possible MUPH winners. Are there still new girls to come? Let's wait and see doon sa press presentation nila bukas ng gabi. Add Miss South Africa and Miss Universe Thailand in the list of the really good national pageants. I kind of agree. However, in terms of longevity, hindi mo pa rin pwedeng isama yung Miss Universe Thailand because it just started, to have like a huge like recall for most fans just nitong lately na lang. Hindi katulad ng mga pageants like Miss Venezuela or Señorita Colombia na established yung presence nila even in the 1950s and in the 1960s. Nasaan na ba tayo? How about Puteri Indonesia? I haven't followed Puteri Indonesia for like how many years na, so I really cannot put Puteri Indonesia in that same vein. So there. Okay, I think we've done all of the updates na. And let's now go to the poll and see what are your choices, kung what makes you excited in this start of the national pageant season. 46 now have said na tawag ito na you are excited with the what do you call this, with the candidates of the Miss Universe Philippines na competition. 41% says 42% says yung pageant itself, the start of MUPH is what gets you excited, while only 10% is saying na yung si Mr. Pilipinas Worldwide and the Miss Philippines announcement happening tomorrow evening is yung exciting na part para sa inyo. Okay? So, to wrap this up, to wrap our live stream this evening, I think ultimately there's a lot of excitement going on, especially with the national pageant starting, although it's a little bit late because usually the national pageant season starts at around January. But now that it's started, I think that marami tayong aantabayanan, and I do hope that as pageant fans we become more involved as the months and the weeks go by, because I think maraming mangyayari na pagbabago, maraming mangyayaring mga pasabog ang mga national pageants in this coming season, in this coming year specifically. And I do hope that lahat ng mga fans, you'd be very vocal with your support, and I do hope na this time around we learn to live with each other's differences in opinion, and hindi tayo masyadong at each other's throats when we have other people who does not share the same outlook, opinion, and perspective as ours. Okay? So, in the next several days and weeks, asahan natin na mas mag-iigting yung mga yung mga conversations around Miss Universe Philippines specifically, and I do hope na once na matapos na yung mga national pageants natin, we gear for a stronger comeback for the international pageant season. Okay? So thank you very much for everyone who has joined and supported our live stream this evening, and I do hope na before we end, you leave a like. A thumbs up would be very nice on our live stream episode this evening. And for those who are new to the channel, please do subscribe so that we can grow this channel together. Okay? Thank you very much for everyone na nakisawsaw, naki-comment, nakisalo dito sa ating live stream, and I do hope to see you in our next live stream on Saturday, and we will probably be discussing our standouts for the Miss Universe Philippines press presentation. Ayun, thank you very much everyone, and I hope to see you again soon in our next episode. Bye and have a great weekend.